Boar, kick us off, man. Give us your favorite scene, favorite line, favorite take. Roll the ball.
One of my favorite things about, and it's just because I'm a spiteful son of a bitch, is that Bud Light got shit on in the bar, which is fucking hilarious. Like, I mean, they were really pushing that beer hard too. Like what she was saying, she was going to get like tips, or she was going to get like a matching bonus per beer bonus. Like that's wild. I don't know. I like the deal talk with Monty. You know, that I don't know if they said that guy's company name or even that guy's name that he was meeting with.
He called it Diamond.
Diamond, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, Diamond.
Shout out to Case Van Hoff.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. And I couldn't, the deal was a little unclear, kind of. I think I understood it, but I just watched it once and was hungover while I watched it.
All right, fire away. Matt, what were you going to say about the farm out?
Yeah, I thought obviously it was missing a significant amount of details, but like Boar was saying, we were talking deal talk, so that was fun, and we kept going. You know, at least had a solid 5 minutes where Monty and Monty and Diamond were talking about the farm out terms, and then Monty going back to Billy Bob to tell him about the terms, and then Billy Bob like, man, we're going to have to get all these crews. We're going to have to get seismic, all this, yada, yada, yada. And he starts talking about the money component of it. And he's like, I thought we weren't going to play the bank again. And sure enough, you know, that's what they're going to do. And then Monty just shuts it down by saying, it's my money. I'll do what I want.
My bank.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know. They're going to need another Monty. Like, for that much work, you know, it seems like they're putting a lot on him.
So I'll say this about that scene in real life. I mean, what we saw over lunch was a microcosm of, I'll call it 72 to 96 hours, because the iterations aren't just a phone call to Tommy. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It's,
yes.
You know, it's calling around to some service vendors to get the latest prices on rigs. And there's a whole lot of detail, but I think spiritually, in a condensed way, that was actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in and says, hey man, we're doing 60-40 and this is such a good deal. Yeah, I'm having a little tough time with the banks, but it's okay. And the other guy just smoking it out and saying, bullshit, I get all my money back. Then we start talking.
Yeah. Absolutely. I liked that. And, you know, we had a similar deal with J. Cleo Thompson, had to come save one of our leases one time that was expiring, and went and met with J. Cleo before he passed and got it done really quickly. But the terms were, you know, definitely lopsided. We needed him.
So the parts that I enjoyed on that, he said, what about Monty asked the guy, what about Lone Star or Plains Capital? And the guy said the private banks won't touch fossil fuels anymore. And then later in the conversation, after Monty kind of talks to Tommy and comes back to the table and he's ironing out, you know, I want 100% until I'm paid out. The guy says something along the lines of, are you trying to fuck me? And Monty says, you know, go over to TPG or Fortress and watch the master class they're giving on getting fucked. So
yeah, that was good.
That was the best part to me. But I did think it was funny, that conversation with Tommy. He says, I'm going to need surveys, seismographs, and geothermal on everything. And I'm like, I don't know any fucking landman that talks like that.
Well, I don't know any landman that maybe particular to the Val Verde Basin, but what the hell do
that's
we
what
need
I'm wondering
geothermal for? That's where I think that Taylor needed to do a little more work on his research in terms of what was needed on the geo side to properly exploit this.
That was ridiculous. I mean, come on, that's a little wild that a show of this caliber wouldn't kind of do a little more research to get terminology like that. Yeah. That's just goofy.
And then his very next question is, am I building roads? And I was like, I mean, okay, we got like a whole lot of shit we're getting ironed out with like the science behind all of this, and you're worried about building roads. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
That's not a huge factor.
No
right
offense to my three partners in this, but I've never seen a landman do anything but shit on a geologist.
Yeah.
Because every deal I've been involved in,
And they
the
deserve
geologist is always, well, we need to run a core on the first well. And the landman's always like, I'm not paying for some goddamn core.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, they deserve it.
No, that was interesting. I mean, what they said, they did 6 exploration wells and 4 hit 200 barrels a day, and I was like, I don't know, that's a little bit more than half. Like,
yeah, what are we drilling? Like,
sounds a little risky out there.
Mississippian Reef shit. Like, it's a shitty
bright spots.
Right.
Well, it's Val Verde Basin.
Yeah, right.
It's gas, so I'm just having a tough time getting my head around this. So I don't know. Maybe there's some other conventional target above or below that, but the hit rate's pretty solid.
The thing I like was some writer heard somewhere the Val Verde Basin and just thought it sounded cool. That's how that made.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I do like about that scene as well is they threw in kind of a mix of fake names and real names. It said, go talk to TPG. I mean, they're Texas Pacific Group, rest in peace, David Bonderman, who recently just passed away. Real dude, Fortress, but then Plains Capital. I don't know if that's kind of an ode to Plains All-American, but maybe. And then I forget the other name they made up. So I kind of like the mixing in of that.
Yeah.
Lone Star.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a good generic name. There's Lone Star everything. So
yeah, and I love I'll have the contract to you by the end of the week. Slapped him on the back like you had to do it. You know?
the dude was so defeated too. Like he was just he literally was about to cry. His hands were over his face. You know, as Monty walked away from the table, I was like, man, that's great. I wish anything ended that way. I negotiated that so great. Dudes cry. I'm just kidding. A good deal is when everyone leaves something on the table.
But yeah, no, that was awesome. And then I loved how we roll into the wife and the daughter working out and having one of the single most disturbing conversations I could imagine. I can't imagine my ex-wife and my daughters sitting there going, we work our ass off so that men buy us stuff, and then we have sex with them with an occasional blowjob. I mean,
hey guys, think about watching that with your mother-in-law and the Lord, because that's how it went.
Oh God, that's uncomfortable.
Did you just at least stone it, wink at your mother-in-law while it was going on?
No, they're great. They're great troopers. They're like one of the guys, so it wasn't like it was anything. But at the same time, you know, you're kind of like,
funny.
Oh, can we get past this? And can we talk about I thought that was definitely not Midland. That was like a Vegas nightclub, you know, maxed out with the lighting and everything. That was pretty wild.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, do they have anything above a Planet Fitness in Midland? I don't think they do.
If they do, it's a total mismatch of their tragic fucking hotel situation.
Oh God, exactly, exactly. For those of you that don't know, in Midland, they have the single worst hotel in the world that can charge, when times are going great, $500 a night.
The double murder tree.
God, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
That being said, the cookies are good. I will give them the cookies.
Yes.
Well, the new hotel is going to be called the Santa Rita, the 4-star right there downtown. Is it going to be an Omni? I thought they were going to call it. Maybe it's Omni Santa Rita or something.
Yeah.
It's
it's
cool.
An Omni. So
hell yeah.
It's going to be good.
Fucking put that
really
double
good.
Murder tree out of its misery.
Well, it's shocking that we haven't
please.
had a nice boutique hotel, because you figure at some point somebody would have just gutted up and, you know, built a nice hotel and it would go bankrupt in the bad times and all, but we never saw it. I mean, God bless all the rich Texas oil men in Midland. They just plowed it back into the field, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the other thing too is if you just look historically at the boom and bust cycle, I think it was a lot more rampant, or there were a lot more booms and busts. I think since 18 and 20, or at least 20, it hasn't been as bad. And so you've started to see the dollars come back into Midland, albeit slowly. But the first time I went to Midland, I was like, there's so much money out here, and this place looked like it's a time trap. Like they're stuck in the 70s. And I think it's just such a town like that learns to live through the booms and busts that it never recycles cash. It never puts capital back into that town. So I think it's just kind of your prototypical example of a boom and bust town.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Gates, give us someplace else to go. Give me another scene.
All right, so we got a lot more action with the cartels in this episode. And, you know, we got the whole scene with Tommy talking to Monty about, I'm going to have to put a perimeter fence out there and hire security. So he was talking about the farm out with Monty. But then they go out onto the pad location with all the guys, and, you know, Tommy's talking about, hey, we're going to have to bring the guys, I think he says, from the south side of the camp, you know, the gangsters and everything. And they go out there, they're on location, the cartel pulls up, and they got that little rent-a-cop sitting there. And when Tommy's talking about building a perimeter fence and hiring security with Monty and all of that, that rent-a-cop, that was pretty humorous. Obviously a total joke, but I have dealt with a situation down here in South Texas where it wasn't cartel related, it was a psycho landowner. And we had to fence all of our locations. We had to have an off-duty actual police officer, a sheriff's deputy, out there with an AR-15 wearing a, you know, full bulletproof vest and everything, 24 hours a day, because this landowner would put on a ghillie suit, you know, like a sniper suit, and go sit out in the brush with his assault rifle with a night vision scope on there and a laser sight. And he would turn on the laser sight and just aim it straight at somebody's chest out on our drilling location. And I mean, this guy, I mean, he's the guy, I think I talked about it in the first episode that we recorded, that tried to run me over with his side-by-side. And the second that I left his property, he knew he had fucked up because I was smiling at him. And that was the point where he absolutely lost his shit. He was like, what happens next? And I said, I'll be back with the sheriff's deputies and we'll serve you with a temporary restraining order that says you can't come within, I think it's 300 feet of any of our personnel out on your property. And my boss would not allow me to file the TRO. He said, it's gonna look bad for us if we have to file a restraining order on a landowner. And I was like, no, this shit happens all the fucking time. Like, seriously, all the time. There's companies that preemptively file temporary restraining orders on landowners if they're at all going to be a little hostile.
Obviously, I couldn't disagree with your boss anymore, because I know you want to send out a message to the other people to not be such pricks and like lunatics on, you know.
Yeah. All of the guys that we had working out on that location were like, hey, what the fuck's going on? Like, this dude is clearly psycho. He's been to prison twice already. He doesn't care. Like, he was one of those people that like just has a screw loose. And so when they were showing that scene and that conversation that Tommy had with Monty, I know kind of like the background of what they're talking about, but the execution on the show was absolutely falling flat on its face.
I don't know that I'm going up against the cartel with Paul Blart, the security dude.
Seriously.
Although I do think that is in the running for most underappreciated line of the show is, you know, the guy pulls the gun out and then everybody on the crew pulls their gun out, and Tommy fires away with something. I'm going to guess that you don't do a lot of math. That was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good. So, all right, Matt, hit me up on this scene. I've been trying to wrap my hand around it. I've watched the episode twice, and I think I've come about 180 degrees. What is it with Angela and the daughter going to the old folks' home?
Great question. I don't know how that got thrown in the mix. I was trying to go back to the particular scene in the car where they just decided to go about it. But I mean, ultimately, I'm like, once I could get my head around fitting that into the plot, I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I like this thought. There's a lot of, older people that are stuck in these homes, don't get to do anything fun. And so, like, maybe I'm looking at it from a sympathetic light, but I was like, well, they kind of made the best of it, but then step back and I'm like, how in the hell did that come to fruition? Are they that bored? And that's what they came up with in the script? So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Boar, what did you think about that?
Well, first of all, how it came up was in the car. They drove by it, and it was just like unrealistic. She's unrealistically naive. Ainsley is like, she's a senior, I think, in high school, and she has no idea how a nursing home works. She was asking just the basic questions of it as they drove by one. She's never driven by one and had that fucking thought. But maybe they're trying to kind of de-villainize the ex-wife or the current whatever she is, and maybe just add some humanity to her because she's certainly a lunatic.
Bingo. I think that's exactly where they were going with it. And that's where I came 180, because the first time I watched it, I thought it was stupid. It was ridiculous and all that. But then she's walking out of there actually kind of with a sense of pride. And Ainsley's like, hey, Mom, I think you found your calling. And I think that's what we're getting. Yeah. She's hot as all get out. She's batshit crazy, but she probably really does have a good heart. And even if the premise was set up that way, it got off the second best line of the episode in my book. And that's when they were playing Cards from Humanity. And the question was something, kids are 50% less likely to have sex after seeing this. And the fact that a card said Big Bird's crusty brown asshole, so that's my second best line in the thing.
That was funny.
I was hoping that they were going to tie in something with the show. One of the old timers talking about how he used to work in the oil field, something like that. And I think they maybe missed an opportunity, but maybe they'll work that in on the next episode. They didn't really do a whole lot of tying in.
That would have been good.
Angela's
I think
character.
That would have been good, Gates, to have a couple or at least one.
I mean, you run across those guys all the time where they say, hey, I was a engineer for Chevron for 45 years or whatever. And instantly it's like, hey, I want to hear this guy's stories. What do you know that we could use right now? And I think they kind of really missed out.
That's a real thing. One of the pieces of content I was going to do, fan of the shows in his 70s. He's always texting me about stuff. And his 95-year-old father passed away, and his father was a geologist, an old school geologist. And he said, he just passed away. I'm going to have to go through his office and capture all that stuff. And I'd pitched him on, why don't we do like one of those storage container shows? We'll just do an auction. And whoever buys it gets all the stuff in there. And he wanted to do it, but his mom was like, no, go through there and actually make sure there's nothing of any real value and stuff. And it's kind of glad he did, because he found some old maps and he's got some leads on it. I mean, those old geologists would sit there and draw stuff by hand, sketch things out. And then that stuff's lost forever. We as an industry just don't capture that stuff. So
a couple of months back for my birthday, Scott Leesburg sent me a package of mechanical pencils and some martini glasses. And I texted him and I said, hey, did you accidentally order those pencils for yourself and they got included in the martini glasses you sent me from Amazon? And he said, no, I gave you the pencils so you can draw on maps. And I was like, dude, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm a landman. Like, I don't draw on maps.
Oh, I've got every single color under the sun of colored pencils on my desk. So I do.
I love maps. I love physical maps. But
yeah, but that's for all the doodling you do during the day, Matt.
It's actually work-related doodling.
All right, Boar, we're going to jump to the scene Tommy and Angela in bed. He's snoring, and she sends him off to go find Ainsley. And give me your take on that scene.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's falls in the purview of the husband and things like that. It was funny that didn't even try to call Ainsley. Of course, she probably wouldn't have answered, but like I said, it definitely falls into his responsibility category. But him going out there and grabbing that, chunk of a human and slamming him to the ground, like kids today are, I don't know, more punkish. Of course, Tommy's tough as nails. They portray him as that. So that would have been an interesting fight if they would have gotten in one. But I don't know. The kid was actually pretty respectful. If you think about it, the quarterback, he was, she was all over him. We are weak people as men. There's nothing you can do. What are you going to fucking do? And she was on him. Tommy just came up when it got reversed, when he was on her. The dude seems like a good dude. But I mean, let's talk about Ainsley's whole plan. Philanthropy, rich NFL wife, hopefully the Dallas Cowboys, but I guess I'll settle for Cleveland or whatever the fuck. I was like, this is ridiculous. You don't know how a fucking nursing home works.
Yeah.
You have no idea how you're going to get tossed to the side for some other piece of ass as an NFL wife at some point.
So here's where we need to get
the part where the kid goes, where the quarterback says, "Have you declared a major yet?" And I'm like, she's not even in college yet. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about, dude? Like,
so I think we need to throw down this challenge. I think John and Cody need to come on and tell us about the philanthropy major at Texas Tech and why the youth of America should come on.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The one line I love, that lawyer, when Tommy's on his way out the door, that lawyer that lives with him, he says, "You guys need like Navy SEAL level training for couples." And I thought that was hilarious. This poor old bastard, he has to spend his glory days listening to these lunatics.
So I thought the best part of that whole scene is Tommy driving Ainsley home and them in the front yard and him lecturing her on, hey, dads and daughters have to live by a code. You have to tell me you're a virgin.
Yes.
If you get pregnant and have kids, you have to say it was artificial insemination. And she's like, you want me to lie to you? With your whole heart, tell what you want.
Absolutely.
And then Ainsley picks up on it. Daddy, he was just telling me Bible stories. And I got
right.
So did y'all notice that during that scene where Tommy's out there picking up Ainsley, that the guy from the cartel is sitting there watching him with night vision goggles? I mean, they're building up to something there. The episode's titled All Roads Lead to a Hole. And so I kind of wrote that down. Maybe that's a little foreshadowing because, you can dig holes in the ground for an oil well or for a body.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, the green vision scene they did really kind of hit me when I was doing it. Now, I hate to do this because I was telling somebody I try to play neutral and get the guys to tell me what they think. No, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to tell you what I think. I find no redeeming characteristics to the Cooper character. I think every time the dude comes on, they slow it down. They play melodramatic music, and it's just horrible, and it sucks, and I want to fast forward. And I think they know it because I think Taylor knows this. Because if you'll notice, when they cut to the scene where he's at the girl's house, it actually starts with the trash guy picking up the dumpster and emptying the dumpster. And I'm like, even Taylor knows this shit. Y'all go. I'll shut up.
It sucks. You're right. Yeah. The whole Cooper thing. First of all, I mean, Paramount's not going to sponsor us particularly ever. But after I say this, he sucks as an actor. I've already said that before. And it's just, it's going nowhere. It's slow. It's melodramatic. But I did think one thing was interesting, and I didn't understand it. Do you guys know why the lawyer said, I think it was the last line in the show, "Oh, Cooper Norris, we've been looking all over for you." Do you remember what that was all about?
I think they're going to try to pin everything on him.
Yeah. Okay.
For that
I thought that was kind of over and done, but yeah, I guess that's right.
I mean, they got to have a fall guy. So if it's not Tommy, maybe it's going to be his son.
If they don't all three sign, if they all three sign, it's done. It costs Monty $750,000 and they're done. I think you're right. They're potentially pinning him if they don't all three sign.
I just had a thought then. Cooper is the ultimate landman because he is doing what it takes to get the ink in that room. Because he's going to get that fourth signature,
Yeah, that's way too generous of a give on that character. I mean, do we even figure out if he's any good?
He's not good at anything, Matt.
Like, isn't he a singer or something?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a particularly well. I guess he had the one day when he was catching drill pipe that they said he was good. So I'll give him that. But I don't get anything. He's not good looking. He has this weird.
He looks like he's smoking
totally,
meth or
yeah.
something.
Screwed up
It looks
teeth.
terrible.
All apologies there, Jewel, but messed up teeth. Don't get that. I guess he wants to run an oil and gas company in his drive, and he'll start at the bottom. There may be some redeeming quality there. And I guess he's being nice to the cute girl, but whatever. Anyway, I totally don't get that character. But anyway, I'll stop.
No, I agree.
No, I agree 100%.
All right.
I think something that we missed during the conversation that the guys are having when they're at the Patch Cafe and Monty calls, the boss character says, "That ain't the devil, that's Satan." And then as Tommy walks off, the petroleum engineer says, the conversation keeps going, well, if he's Satan, what does that make us? And the guy with kind of a smile and a grin says, demons.
Yeah.
Like,
well, what was so?
I think there's more to that.
Yeah, what was so strong is that's fueled with French fries and mashed potatoes.
Right.
Each one of them.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even have an option for veggies.
I know. That's awesome. All right, let's do this. I'll run around the horn. I'll start with you, Gates, then hit Boar, then hit Matt. Gates, give us kind of a final wrap-up thought here.
Again, I loved the conversation that Monty's having about the farm out. I wish they had, at some point, had the chance to kind of get a little bit more into how all of that's going to play out. But, the brief moments where they're actually dealing with industry stuff in this show have been really interesting. Some of them have been maybe a little bit wrong. Some of them are more on point. I wish they had more of that and less of the character back building.
Yeah. One quick point here, something I've seen, because I was a private equity guy doing oil and gas. And the thing about oil and gas is farm out deals, financing deals. It's always money. We get our money back first and we get a disproportionate share after payout. Everything's after payout, any of these deals. And now that I'm at Digital Wildcatters, we're out doing a financing right now with a legit VC fund. VC funds come on and put a value on a company. They say you're worth whatever, $100 million. And that's in effect an upfront promote. And I think that's a huge disconnect in the finance world. And I don't know if that's really appreciated by folks out there, that we do everything. We'll share in the profits with you, but we're getting our money back first. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And I hope people walk away thinking about that. All right, Boar, final thoughts.
I like the show. I like the deal talk. I like the crazy wife. Cartel stuff's leading up to a lot of drama coming up and some real action, as Yellowstone kind of did. I mean, it's just, the patterns are very Yellowstone, right? And I quit watching Yellowstone after, season 2. But, there's some kind of fluff in these episodes. There's some slow stuff. Then there's build up. And there's a lot of things we can all relate to. So I still like the show. It's entertaining. There's the dialogue's getting, is funny. It's kind of like Succession. It wasn't necessarily the best show, but incredible dialogue in that show, And so we got a mix of everything in this one. So I still like it.
All right, Matt, what do you got? Final thoughts?
I think this episode yeah, there were some bad parts, bad spots. The last two I think have been pretty good, but I do think, Chuck, that the deal talk point and the financing aspect of it, and what is going on there between Monty and Diamond, and how that mirrors what we do, in the industry, or at least in private equity, or privately funded deals like Bohr, or Gateside, whatever it is. I do think that is a pretty insightful look at how that all comes about. And I'm really interested to see to like what extent Monty's willing to roll the dice, right? Like, you talk about the farm out, you talk about his existing assets, and it's like, what is this thing going to become? And maybe we don't get there, but I feel like there is a move and a motivation towards that. So I'm kind of excited to see like what does this company become?
That is, I think, Taylor hitting the nail on the head for this industry. From the movie Wall Street, it was how many yachts can you sail behind? Everybody in our industry just forgets that they were poor and they were broke, and it's time to push it back in. My closing thought, I thought there were two genius lines in here that I just loved and really appreciated. When they're in the old folks' home and they're talking to the old guy in the wheelchair, he was talking about his dick, and he goes, "Yeah, the son of a bitch still works. I can't tell you when, but it still does." So I thought that was great.
Love
and
that
then I thought, yeah. Then I thought when Angela was yelling at Tommy to go check on their daughter about how mad she was and upset, and they were talking about him snoring, she said, "You were snoring worse than a two-headed whore in a dick-sucking contest." I have no idea what that means, but I just thought it was genius, So
She's so filthy.
yeah,
I love it.
I'm totally getting in there. My Demi Moore crush lessens every show because we don't see her; she's not doing anything. And the Allie Larder crush rises a little more. So we may be at crossover. Well, all right, boys. This has been a lot of fun. Anybody got big New Year's plans?
I'm going to the lake to just have a peaceful one and drink several martinis and hang out by the lake.
I've got to put on a tuxedo and go to one of my wife's friends' weddings in San Antonio, and I was telling everybody, I wish we were able to leave the kids down at the ranch so that I could wake up on New Year's Day, maybe sleep in just past, 6 a.m. And everybody was like, "Oh, well, you could leave the party early." And I said, "Fuck that. If I'm putting on a tux on New Year's Eve, I'm not fucking coming home until 2025.
Right.
Well, Matt, what's the warden got in store for you?
Well, I mean, I'm the teetotaler of the group, right? I'm coming on 9 years sober next year. So New Year's Eve is just the same as any other day for me. And we were going to go to a Spurs game, but that got shot down real quick. So I don't know. We'll sit around and watch shows and tell the kids that at 9 o'clock it's midnight.
Right.
Put them to bed.
Yeah.
We've got some good football games on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
For years, what we would do is we would show the kids the ball drop on YouTube from the year before and get them to bed at like 7 or 8. But they don't fall for that.
Now, Chuck,
I will be on a plane back from London.
Oh, I was going to ask if you were going to be partying in London on New Year's Eve.
I wish I was, but the two daughters want to get back to see all their friends on New Year's Eve. So I will be on a United flight. I'll get them to their mother's house, and then I'll probably be asleep. So, Matt, I'll text you for a good night story because I'll probably be in bed before you.
Well, and hopefully you get to see Uncle Ben and you guys have a good time in London.
There we go. Absolutely. All right, guys. Peace out.
In the land of the Landman where the drummers high, there are mountain series just reach for the sky. The actors were flawed, the twists were bold, but the plot got holes and got us feeling cold. Landman on the side, everybody seems to take a flight. Bury the lawyer with a secret of just Landman with all its flaws, bringing us laughter and many guffaws. A parody of itself, a show to see.